So, I showed you muddy sleeves, muddy hands. How do you avoid that? I'm aware that I'm not very well in frame. So, quick thumbnail. How, what the fuck's going on? I don't know. Yeah, so pushing a wheelchair, you are bound to get a little bit muddy. It's just one of the things that come with it. It's like you're grabbing your shoes every time you take a step. Because, it is pretty much the same. The wheels are pretty much the shoes of the wheelchair. So, how do you avoid getting muddy when you're doing that? There's not much out there, but there are definitely some small tips which I'll show you and explain to you. And the first one I can't show you because I'm about to go back, and also, I don't have the equipment with me. But it's basically just keep your chair clean. Now I'm gonna get up a little bit close, but you can see there's a lot of mud on the wheels. That is almost guaranteed to happen no matter where you are. However, if you look here on the push rim, there's not that much mud. There's still a little bit, and you can see that a bit more on the other side. As you can see, there's also a lot of scratches, but you get the general idea. So, first thing that I'd suggest is avoiding getting that too muddy. Try avoiding deep mud. Now, obviously, the first one I should have said is avoid mud and puddles whenever you can. I have shown you guys some puddles that are completely unavoidable, so obviously it is understandable if you get a little bit muddy sometimes. But yeah, that is one of the ones that I would suggest, is just being aware where you're going, and then making sure that you don't go through anything too deep or try and go through the shallowest part. Now, you can also clean your wheels while you're out. Now, this doesn't really involve any equipment, but out here, if I had gone through something, I would probably pick up just a random leaf, and while I'm pushing along, just take the leaf and put it on the wheel, as you can see, kind of. So then, while I'm pushing, hang on, I'm gonna show you. So while I'm pushing, it's just kind of scraping some of it off, trying to avoid it on me. This is kind of like a last minute thing, if you've really fucked up and you are really muddy and need to stay kind of clean. Because obviously, picking up just random leaves and things on the floor isn't the cleanest. So that is kind of another one. But it's important to try and deal with ways when you've got the wheels muddy. As I said, you may not be able to clean it. You may be in public place, or a crowded place with a bunch of people. You may not be able to find leaves, or there may not be a bit of tissue there to wipe it with. And you may need to just try and avoid getting muddy. Now, this really doesn't help the hands, but it does help with the sleeves. So this is important. So first off is to either roll them up, as you can probably imagine. I tend to prefer armless shirts purely for the fact that the sleeves don't get muddy. However, shirts with long sleeves in the winter especially are absolutely amazing. So, you may want that, and you may need a way to avoid keeping no, you may need a way to avoid getting them muddy if you have to wear a long sleeve shirt and you've somehow gotten muddy. So basically, right, I'll roll these down again. They're already a little bit muddy, but just the only thing that I can really suggest is the way that you grab the push rim. Now, if you have a closer look here, I'll get a little bit more straight with you. How I'd avoid it is to go for a bit more of a wide angle. I normally just push like that, As you can see, like if I do it a bit slowly, you can see like here, especially it's touching, and that is just like a part of it. You know, it's difficult. But if you really need to avoid getting muddy, I'd recommend going for a bit of a wider push, you know, like this. Now you can see it's not 100%. Sometimes you may slip and still like accidentally catch your elbow or something. But it's just about trying to keep your arms wide. And I'd recommend pulling your hands down. You know, normally I hold them like that, but maybe I'd hold them like that. Now, this is a really uncomfortable way for me to hold it. Especially with the fact that I've got rubber on the top and not on the bottom, so I don't have as much grip. So that's like another reason. And then you've also got all of these parts here, which you can't quite see, but hey, it'll do. That is another way of doing it. You know, just keeping wide, bringing your hands a little bit further down and back. And while I was talking about that, I remembered about another way to clean off the wheels. If you don't have access to leaves, or you don't want to be picking stuff up off the floor, or like don't have access to a bit of napkin or something, you know, there's a lot of situations where you may not be able to or want to pick things up or find something. So that is just putting on the brakes, only slightly though. So I don't know how well you guys can see. I may need to raise myself up a little bit. Is that, which really doesn't do much. You know, the brake is still there, and then obviously that, which is it all the way on, and you know the wheel doesn't really move. Now, what I'd recommend if you still want to clean the wheels off, but you know you don't have anything to clean them with, is just to put it on that first one where it's only slightly touching it, and not doing it all the way on. Now this isn't the best for your brakes, or your wheel. In fact, it does obviously add a bit more friction, so it will wear them out. So only do it for like a quick flick, do one push, like after you've gone through the muddy place, and then that will be it pretty much. Sometimes you may find that it will push stuff to the side, and then you may need to just like take a finger and do that, but you know, it is again just one of those things. Now, something that you can do to prepare for that, you know, is carry either some wipes, or I carry anti-bac with me, just because I find it a little bit easier. In fact, I've got it with me now. Ooh, the lid's coming off a little bit, but I just carry some anti-bac with me all the time. So if I do end up getting a little bit muddy, you know, it's unavoidable. Always try and wash your hands, but if you can't, then you know you can always just lube it up and do that. So yeah, as I said, it's almost unavoidable to get a little bit muddy, to not get muddy. I mean, another thing is if you have a zip up jumper and have it undone. This is something that I struggle with a lot, but it'll flap open, you know, at the sides, and then that will rub on the wheels as well. You know, sometimes it will overlap a little bit and go onto this part of the wheel, and like you can see it kind of happening here. You know, the jumper just goes there and it gets muddy. Or another one is a bit harder to show you guys, but it'll like go in between a gap here and then like out through here. I don't know if you guys can see that very well or at all, but there's just a couple of different ways that it can get muddy. So a way to avoid that is to either zip it up or do what I like to do, which is grab the jumper from the back like that, pull myself forwards, and just kind of like sit on it a little bit. Now it does obviously make it a little bit tighter, but don't go too tight. Just make sure that it's not loose. Another thing for the zip up jumpers, if you really want to leave it open, is to tuck it in behind you. So you just tuck it in like that, and kind of do it in a shape like that, in a bit of a trench coat type thing, I guess. And I think that's pretty much it. Like, that is the best that I can give. If you guys have your own suggestions, feel free to leave a comment, and sharing them. You know, I really love to hear them. I may use some myself. But if you enjoyed this video, guys, leave a like, subscribe, all that usual stuff. As I said, the interviews will be done not tomorrow, but the day after. I'm hoping at least, because I want to ask you guys the questions that you want to be hearing. So I'm going to go do the editing for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Linktree in the description with all my links, all my socials. Got the Instagram, TikTok, the other channel, you name it. Everything that I'm on pretty much, Twitch, Patreon, everything. I'm all there. I'm there all the time. I feel like I'm extending this outro way too long, so I'll see you in the next one. Please shut me up. Intro music.